very welcome to Mind Blowing 12. I'm Paul Gill.
And I'm Siobhán Lyon. And today we're going to be discussing the stories that we tell ourselves and what our association is to those stories.
Yeah, I think I heard Brendan Gleeson. I don't know, was he just saying this or was he reciting something? But he said, we are our stories. And it's so very true.
Yeah.
We have stories running in our heads all the time.
We can't really identify with them, don't we?
They are our identity.
Yeah.
Stories. And like we tell ourselves stories about our nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've this myth about we're all Celts. I saw a documentary that more or less said, like, you know, if you were in Ireland like in the year 400 AD, nobody even knew who Celts were. And it was a branding that we took on. Yeah. You know, that people didn't identify themselves as Celts at all. But now we have this whole Celtic thing, and we're Irish, and
we become very patriotic when we leave the country. Do you know?
Yeah.
If you go abroad and you meet Irish people, they're very patriotic. There's everything about Paddy's Day, about wearing green, the whole works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And about, you know, how being so proud to be Irish as well. Americans are unreal at celebrating Irish.
Irish Americans.
Yeah.
Or American Irish.
American Irish.
American Irish.
They're unreal at celebrating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have this mythology that we are conditioned in school. We hear these stories of Film McCool and Ushing and all of these stories. And they're ingrained in our heads. And as kids, we're fascinated by these things, and we've got these ideals then to live up to.
Yeah.
And I suppose in every mythology, there's a moral compass. So kind of, you know, you do the right thing, you are the hero, or the guy who does the bad thing. Maybe ultimately karma gets him. You know, so they're there to educate us, just in the same way as fairy tales. A lot of fairy tales, I would think, I'd love to tell your kids fairy tales. But they were very dark fairy tales in their original forms. You know, Hansel and Gretel and stuff like this. There was a lot of bad stuff in there.
So weird. Rapunzel being trapped in a fucking tower, like.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah, and I think that nursery rhyme, ring a ring a rosary, a pocket full of posy, a tissue, we all fall down. I think that was about the plague originally.
Really?
Yeah. Something like that. God. Like it's kind of like you sneeze and you spread the plague and everybody falls down. They're dead. That's why they fall down. And you got kids running around singing these things.
Horrendous.
But we tell ourselves these stories, and you know that, are you familiar with that? It was book and film Walter Mitty. We have this.
No, I don't think
it's like a fantasy life inside of our heads. Like I've helped people over the years who've had this like hero fantasy where they're the hero and they're going to rescue everybody and got these superpowers. Even all of these stories like you see in films now, Marvel characters with superpowers.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in somebody who hasn't got superpowers.
Who's your favorite Marvel character, guys?
It used to be the Hulk when I was growing up, but I didn't like the Marvel version. the one where they have them animated. I used to like Bruce
Wonder
Banner.
Woman is my big.
Lou Ferrigno. The original one or the current?
Oh, the original Wonder Woman. She's amazing.
But what she did was to have this rope and kind of threw it around people. She kind of could incapacitate them with this rope.
She was amazing. Yeah. She was up there. She was hardy. She was tough.
What's she doing now, I wonder?
I don't know, actually. Is she still alive even?
I don't know. She's probably doing Wonder Woman stuff in a nursing home somewhere.
Oh my God. He's so bold, isn't he?
But she would be at that age. I mean, if she would have been in her probably 20s or 30s, like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So she's well into 70s or 80s.
Linda
Carter, that's her name.
Oh,
popped into my head.
Score. Love it.
I wasn't a fan. I never used to watch it. But it's in a lot of psyches. I remember a guy came to me one time who like he kind of wanted to basically save the world, save everything, save cats, save dogs, save pigeons, rescue things. Yeah. But when I got into it with him, it turned out that he was trying to rescue his younger self. He had a horrendous childhood, not brilliant. And he really wanted to go back and be able to rescue his younger self. So he was rescuing everybody else. He was projecting that out into the world, rescuing everybody else. And the guy, you know, had this idea, like if he was driving along the road, that he had to be at such a town in at this particular time, where he had to pass out 3 cars before he get there, because that's the thing to do, and that, you know, he saved the town and whatever. He was just driving through the bloody thing, you know. But he had all these stories that were running in his head. But these stories have an effect, and they can be very useful, because I think I said in a previous podcast, where if you role play somebody that's a hero to you, you become imbued with their powers and how they think. You become somebody other than yourself.
Yeah. And this is a little bit about maybe changing who we are. You know, when you come to therapy, I often work with people who want to change their lives. You know, they are, you know, maybe stuck, I suppose, really in doing the same things, the same day, or same day, different shit. No, different day, same shit. It's not it.
Yeah.
It's the way the saying goes. And they get locked into doing certain behaviors or certain routines, and it becomes really depressing, actually. You know, you get depressed, you feel anxious about different things, and you just need to change that. And it is about changing the narrative that you tell yourself. You know, what's going on? What kind of story are you telling yourself every day in your head? You know, this man, as your guy was talking about being a superhero and rescuing things, and where did that really come from? As you said, his childhood was distorted. You know, he had a bad childhood, and you know, this is maybe how he escaped.
And I suppose he was exposed in childhood then to movies and shows and where the hero did come in and do exactly that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you know, you're conditioned. You know, like a lot of little girls are conditioned with the princess,
Prince Charming.
Yeah, and they're the princess thing, and the Prince Charming is going to come in and you know take them away. Everything's going to be happy. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, absolutely. It never happens like that. You know, life is not like that. That's why these are called fantasies, though. I think we forget that we're watching fantasy.
I don't know. I think a lot of movie makers, like, you know, a lot of mainstream movies, I have no interest in. If I'm flicking through Netflix or whatever, I kind of, oh, it's the same bloody scenario just been rehashed and different characters, different whatever. And you have these things like, you know, like the hero's journey, like, you know, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, where he sets out, he's a nobody in a little village, and he goes on a big quest. He has a friend, and they encounter, they fight all of these bad guys, and they get the prize and then bring it back. And they learn things. That's endemic in most cultures, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know. Like Paulo Coelho, the writer, would have written a lot of those. His first big story was one of that. This guy was like a shepherd boy, just out minding sheep, and he wanted to kind of explore life, and he wanted to, you know, so he goes off, he leaves the field, and he goes off on a massive big adventure, but he comes back and he realizes that the treasure is actually buried in that field that he left. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing the whole book. Right down. But you're right. Would you mention there that we're telling ourselves these stories anyway. And if you're telling yourself negative stories, then that's how your life is turning out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when we were talking about the last time, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So whatever way it is that you feel or think about yourself, that is just projected out into whatever the people you draw to you, you know, the people that come into your life, the things you draw to yourself, the situations. You know, people think, oh, well, I didn't bring this on myself. You know, I didn't bring bad luck on. Really? Think about it. You know, did you really not bring it on yourself? What way are you thinking every day? How are you treating yourself as a person? How do you talk to yourself? You know, you're constantly berating yourself inside and calling yourself stupid, or, you know, saying, oh God, why did I do such a thing, or that, or why didn't I do this, or rehashing old situations from your past and replaying all of that over and over in your mind. It's just repeating history, isn't it?
Yeah. And then jumping into other people's heads and imagining what they're thinking.
Which is, you know, you can't. It's impossible to know what somebody's thinking.
And they're not thinking of you. They're thinking of themselves, because we're kind of thinking of ourselves, and then we're thinking what other people are thinking of ourselves. But those other people are thinking of themselves, and they might be wondering what you're thinking of them.
But you think the worst possible thing, don't you?
You can do, but you'll find nobody who's got the same opinion of you as you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
Like, if your opinion of you was actually the correct one, then at least one other person should share that exact opinion.
Yeah.
Or even like your nearest and dearest will have a different perspective in you than you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you tell yourself isn't factually true, but it's true for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your truth. It becomes your truth because that's what you tell yourself. So I think in therapy, then, when we're working with people's stories or the narrative that they tell themselves, it's really important to kind of open that out a little bit and say, well, what story do you really want to have in your life? You know, what do you want to tell yourself? What reality do you want to live? Because I really believe that, you know, people can become anything they want, because I suppose I'm evidence of that myself in my own life. So I look back and I see my own journey. I came from a mad fucking background altogether, and, you know, went from working as a hairdresser into becoming a therapist. You know, it's two completely different things in lots of ways.
You're still not finished.
Yeah, and I'm not done yet. You know.
Yeah, she did my hair.
I did not.
There's going to be a lawsuit.
Never, ever, never quote that. It's a lie. That's a lie you tell yourself.
Yeah. It's my story.
It's not fucking true.
But I was thinking, I do a lot of thinking when I'm driving.
Oh yeah.
Thinking and driving, because you are in that zoned out subconscious kind of like, and there's a lot of it's like jargon that goes on in the self-help industry.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of, I think I was listening to a podcast and I was talking about you are unique, and go, you are unique, but you're not that unique.
Yeah.
That actually is totally contradiction, isn't it? If you are unique, how can you be not that unique?
But it like totally depends on the context.
But it does. But the thing is that while you can say everybody's unique because there's never been another you, and while you might look like somebody in your family or your bloodline, whatever even if you have an identical twin, there would be differences. Yeah. So yes, you are unique, but most people think the same and conform and live the same and accept the same parameters in life. Yeah. When you think of it, like they accept their conditioning, their schooling, their social status, what life is like. You know, this expression sheeple. People like sheep. Okay. They're sheeple. They follow. They're easily led. Yeah. So you can't go, how can a load of unique people be easily led? So they're not that unique. Yeah. You remember like that famous line in The Life of Brian, or Monty Python, Brian said, "You're all individuals," and they all chant back, "We're all individuals."
I love that film.
The thing is
Tricum.
Yeah.
Tricum Centurium.
Roughly. The thing is, though, that you can make yourself unique. Yeah. And I think you owe it to yourself to do that. Yeah. To try that. You don't have to actually have a finished product and say, "This is me, I'm totally different from everybody else," and do it for the sake of being unique. Yeah. But if you are going to be unique, and if you're going to tell yourself that you're unique, then bloody well become unique. Yeah. Don't be conforming, doing things necessarily the way other people are, but work it out for yourself.
I think we see loads of examples of that in society, though. I mean, the ones that spring to mind for me would be people who decide to become vegan or vegetarian. I mean, that's a big difference, because most people eat meat. And when you make that choice, that conscious choice to be healthier, or maybe for health reasons or for energy or whatever it is, or just for the good of the animals, you don't want to be eating animals because you prefer to just eat the fruit and the vegetables and, like your body in some way.
I know that too.
It depends on the
animals.
There's not that many here, really. Yeah. You have to be dead for that already, Paul.
Yeah, can eat them before they eat me.
Ugh, Jesus, yeah. Or like the clothes you wear can be different. The car you drive can be different. Like everybody wants different things in life. I remember somebody saying to me, but like, if you can be whatever you wanted to be, would everybody not be the same thing? And of course they wouldn't, because everybody likes different things. Like everybody doesn't like to wear the same clothes or have the same hairstyle or drive the same car.
They do.
They don't.
To do. No. There was a species of fish. I think I told you this previously.
Where did you get that? No.
There's a species of tropical fish.
Right.
We're
not fish, though.
No. But my surname is Gill. I'm related somewhere. There's a species of tropical fish that can change its color.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the fish in the tank, all the males, we all like blue fish or whatever, and this guy will come in and suddenly he's green one day or he's red, and suddenly all the females kind of go, "Oh, look at him, he's different. Like a bit of that
story put on here."
And when all the other tropical fish see that he's getting the attention and he's getting all these mates that he can mate with or whatever, they kind of go, "Right, we need to change our color as well," and they'll all change to the color he is. And then the female fish are starting to come back to them. But then now you've got everybody uniform color in the tank again, and some guy goes, "Oh, I'm going to go white. White is the new." And this is what we do with fashion. Yeah. And like, with fashion, it's hard to get anything unique unless you get your clothes made for you.
Yeah, it's true.
And you will find a brand in fashion maybe that you kind of like, and you kind of like that style of that. But then so do a lot of other people. So you are actually dressing like other people. Yeah. So you can't be that unique.
Well, I think that's to do with clothes. Yeah, but if you go along the lines of fashion, but like, if you don't follow that, there are people who like to, dress completely differently.
Okay. But if your clothes portray a certain
rainbow colors all the time.
If your clothes give an impression of who you are, or how you want people to think of you. Yeah. And if two people are wearing the same clothes for the same reason, that they want people to think that they're whatever, then that's not unique.
Yeah, but their stories are completely different.
Well, they are unique in that.
So I just can't agree with you at all. I just can't do it.
You're an exception. Everybody else. So yeah, this thing was in my head driving in my car.
What do you think, by the way?
You're unique. I'm not interested in what they think. You are unique, but you're not that unique. But should it be an issue? Should you want to make yourself unique? And I think that you need to let the world know that you were here. A statement. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary, but just something that you leave your mark in the world. And some people do that through their kids or through their legacy, or they'll write a book or create something and everybody remembers them. But it doesn't have to be anything astonishingly, fantastically brilliant. But you do have to let the world know that you were here.
Yeah,
I think.
Put your own little stamp on it, whatever way that is. I see so many wonderful mothers actually at the school, and they're so into everything with their kids. One in particular springs to mind, and she's constantly going to Gaelic and soccer and Irish dance with her kids, and she's the nicest kids. Like, they're so happy and fulfilled, I think, by what they're involved in, and they really feel a part of that community, in both of those things that they do. And I just really admire her, because she's just amazing. Like, she is so selfless, like, in that, as a mother. And there's many people like that do different things, don't they?
Yeah. But if you're part of the community, then are you conforming? Being like everybody else in that community? Well,
I suppose there might be a certain pressure. Depends on how you were raised. But again, Paul, not everybody was raised like that.
Just provoking a response.
I wasn't raised like that. So, like, I was raised to go fishing. You were talking about fishing. Right. My dad used to bring us fishing, and he used to bring the lads shooting and that kind of thing, So that was the hunting kind of thing. And then my mother taught us all how to bake and cook and pluck a pheasant, whatever, I was going to
say your dad was a vegetarian. He wasn't shooting vegetables.
No. There was no vegetarians in our house. They're all heavy meat eaters.
They're all eating.
Yeah, they were definitely. We've none of that crack going on.
We've come to the end of this episode, which absolutely flew. Like us, share us, download us, subscribe to us, or whatever platform.
And let us know what you think of Paul's notions, so we're all the same. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Never mind him. Just ignore that manipulation there, lads.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.